Welcome into Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry, and today I'm going to tell you why the Steelers are doomed if they cannot fix these 5 issues currently plaguing this football team as we approach the 2024 NFL postseason. The Steelers have already punched their ticket to the postseason, but with 3 straight blowout losses to playoff caliber teams, the Steelers need to turn it around, and they need to turn it around fast. These are the 5 things they need to clean up if they want any chance at winning a single playoff game, let alone competing for a Super Bowl here in 2024. Before we get into the rest of today's show, make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Really do appreciate all of your guys' support. And I do think, guys, if you fix these 5 things, Pittsburgh can win a title, all right? But they got to go 5 for 5 here to finish out the season to even have a shot at hoisting a 7th Lombardi trophy. Make sure you guys click a thumbs up, the thumbs up icon as well if you're with this team no matter what, and you are ride or die, and you bleed black and gold. All right, first thing that the Steelers must fix, and this is really the biggest one because it affects the defense. This defense has gone from one of the best in football to one of the worst in football over this 3-game skid, and the main culprit here is the secondary. And the secondary needs to figure it out here if this team is going to have success in the playoffs. Because plain and simply, man, the Steelers are built with the most expensive defense in the league. You've got great talent here. TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, Alex Heisman, Nick Herbig, Minkah Fitzpatrick. You guys got a bunch of all-pro caliber guys on this defense. There's no question that the Steelers have paid enough money, and we've seen this defense put up some really good numbers throughout the year, specifically in the first half of the season. Take a look at the Steelers' numbers here, where just 2 times this entire season through the first 11 games of the year, only 2 times this defense gave up 24 or more points, and they gave up less than 20 points 7 times. So this defense was humming to begin the season when you had everybody healthy, and then after week 12, once the gauntlet kind of started here, you've given up 24 or more points 5 times, 3 straight in a row here with the Eagles, Ravens, and now Chiefs games, and you've only allowed less than 20 points 1 time in the last 6 games, and that was the game against the Cleveland Browns, a team that really, I mean, right now they currently hold the number 3 pick in the NFL draft, so that's not super impressive. And really what it is, guys, is that there's a lot of miscommunication and lots of missed assignments on the back end in the pass coverage. And really the main person that's the reason why that's happening is Cam Sutton, who of course missed the entire first half of the season this year due to his suspension because he was running from police. And then he comes in this year and, he's Mike Tomlin's guy. He's a veteran in this defense. He knows better, all right? But he's in there. There's a lot of miscommunication. There's a lot of missed assignments. There's a lot of stuff going on with Cam Sutton right now that is not good in coverage for this Pittsburgh Steelers defense. And teams know if he's playing in the slot, they can absolutely target him, and they know that he is going to likely get missed assignments. There's going to be blown coverages, and throughout these weeks, man, teams have really, really targeted the slot defender there in Cam Sutton, and it has not been good. And really, he's the guy that Cam Hayward, guys like Patrick Queen, they've been calling out in post-game press conferences because he's just not getting the job done. And guys, for me personally, I think Beanie Bishop Jr., the guy that was starting in the slot when the Steelers defense was playing at its best in the first half of the season, he needs to be the starter down the stretch. I understand that Cam Sutton is a veteran. I understand that veteran presence in the defense is important for postseason play, but you got to go with the best players. And right now, Cam Sutton is not getting the job done in the slot. Beanie Bishop Jr. made some really nice plays, got some big interceptions. Was he a perfect slot cornerback? No, he was arguably the weakest link on the Steelers defense when he was in there, but he at least does his job. He at least gets it into the right spot in coverage. At least he can communicate with Patrick Queen, the quarterback of the defense. Cam Sutton isn't doing any of that right now, so give me the UDFA out of West Virginia to finish out this season. Also, on the outside, the Steelers really missed Joey Porter Jr. They were without him for most of the Ravens game, and they were without him for the completion of that Chiefs game. And man, I know that Joey Porter Jr. has some grabby issues. I know he gets DPIs. I know he gets holdings, but he is the enforcer on the outside. He is the person that allows the Steelers defense to go to meg looks, which means that you put Joey Porter Jr. one-on-one on an opposing team's number 1 receiver, and then you can rotate coverage away from Joey Porter and the guy that he's covering. That's really, really an important part of this defense. And right now you're not able to do that because you don't have a legit number 1 guy in there with long arms, the physicality that Joey Porter Jr. brings. He is such an important piece to the secondary. The good news is that you are expected to get him back for the postseason. You won't have him for Week 18 versus Cincinnati, which sucks, but at least he'll be back for Wild Card Weekend. And And honestly, guys, the other starting cornerback here for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Dante Jackson, needs to cover better. He has not been a very good coverage player this season. Now, I know that D-Jack has been very fortunate to get 5 interceptions this year. He's been in the right place at the right time, and he's had a nose for the football, and that's certainly to his credit. But his coverage grade is absolutely abysmal this year. And honestly, Corey Trice Jr. outperformed him last week against the Kansas City Chiefs. You take a look at the grades for Corey Trice Jr., the second-year player out of Purdue. He had an 83.9 overall grade on Wednesday's loss versus Kansas City. Honestly, Mahomes, kind of avoided the guy that he was guarding the entire night, and coverage grade was at 90.1. That was, both of these was the highest of any player in the Steelers secondary in that loss against the Kansas City Chiefs on Christmas Day. So Corey Trice Jr. is certainly somebody that I'd be looking at right now. And if Dante Jackson continues to show us this trend where he's just not a very good coverage player, I would significantly think about putting Corey Trice Jr. in there, even when Joey Porter Jr. gets back for the postseason. I would think about having Joey Porter Jr. at CB1, Corey Trice Jr. at CB2. I know Dante Jackson is the veteran. I know he's the guy that's got 5 interceptions this year. But I think Week 18 is going to tell me a lot as to who I want next to Joey Porter Jr. on the other side of the field when this team plays in the postseason. So let me know down there in the comments section, who do you want to be this team's CB2 when this team gets to the playoffs? Type CT if you want to put in Corey Trice Jr., or if you want to stick with Dante Jackson, type DJ down there in the comments section. This will be the pinned comment on today's show. So in just a second here, I'm going to tell you about our sponsor today at PrizePicks. And while I'm talking about PrizePicks, find that pinned comment at the top of the comment section and answer today's question. Now, let's talk about our friends at PrizePicks, which is the best place to get real money sports action all on your phone this football season. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more than or less than on at least 2 player stat projections for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. PrizePicks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. You don't need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Join now because this holiday season, PrizePicks is giving away 2 free picks in December, and they're giving away $30+ million in rewards during Picksmas. You guys can see here, I got my projection for Sunday Night Football tonight. I'm taking the more on Brian Robinson Jr.'s longest run at 14.5. I'm taking the more on Jaden Daniels passing completions today at 21. I'm taking the more on Bijan Robinson receiving yards at 19.5. You guys can download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup, and use code CLNS when you download the PrizePicks app today. PrizePicks, run your game. So another thing that I think the Steelers need to fix here is you got to take advantage of turnover opportunities again, all right? And the reason why I say this is because this defense has been awesome at turning the ball over this year, okay? They've done a phenomenal job. They went on a stretch there. I think it was 4 straight games where they had exactly 3 turnovers in every single game played over a month. And because of that, you're first in the National Football League in takeaways. So if the Steelers are going to win a Super Bowl this year, if they're going to compete in the postseason and they're going to go on a run this year, they're going to have to be that defense that takes the ball away, just like we've seen this unit do all season long. The last 3 games, they haven't done that at that high of a rate. And honestly, guys, they've been turning the ball over more than they have been taking the ball away, and that's really the brand of football the Steelers want to play. And right now, they're not playing that brand of football. If they can turn it around in time for the postseason, they can get back to beating good football teams. Another thing that needs to be fixed for the Pittsburgh Steelers here is the offensive line and the run game need to step up for the black and gold. All right, and the reason for that is that Arthur Smith's offense really runs through the run game, okay, and the running backs and the offensive line and, getting that power run game going. Well, there was a nice step in the right direction on Wednesday versus the Chiefs because Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris combined for 145 rushing yards, which was pretty decent. And, if you can keep that momentum going, keep that mojo going, I definitely think that the Steelers' run game can be a force to be reckoned with once we get to the postseason. And Jaylen Warren is getting hot at just the right time right now. He's doing a phenomenal job. He's showing off great vision, great contact balance. He's making guys miss. And, of course, he's got that really, really incredible acceleration to break through the line once he sees an opening. So get Jalen Warren the football more often. Get a nice rotation going with him and Najee. But I think Jalen needs to be the feature back if you want to win playoff games in January. So I think that this is going to be the playoff X factor for the Pittsburgh Steelers here, guys. And that is the offensive line, because you need to get the run game going. The way you do that is you win up front. Then also you got to protect the quarterback. If this team can establish that run up front, win the line of scrimmage, and then also protect the quarterback, really, the sky's the limit for this Steelers offense. And we saw that earlier in the year. You can see here where all these guys rank and where these guys are grading according to Pro Football Focus grading this year, the starting offensive line for your Pittsburgh Steelers. Dan Moore Jr. is doing he's around middle of the pack, maybe slightly below average this year with a 69.8. Isaac Seumalo is doing a pretty decent job at 67.3, 27th among guards. Zach Frazier's having a really good season. He's 6th among centers right now with a 76.9 grade. And then the right side is really the problem, all right? Mason McCormick, Broderick Jones, two very inexperienced players forced in due to injuries to Troy Fautano and then also James Daniels, and those guys have struggled this season. So if McCormick and Jones can turn it around to finish up the season, that would be a huge X factor for the Pittsburgh Steelers that could catapult this team back into title contention. But the reality is, guys, if the offensive line doesn't step up, and if, Broderick Jones and Mason McCormick's play this year is any indication, it's not going to mean a title for the Pittsburgh Steelers unless the defense goes on a truly special run here. This offense really does depend on this offensive line to dominate, and that's not the unit that they have been this season. So if there's any reason why the Steelers are not favorites in the AFC and aren't true title contenders, in my opinion, right now, it's because the offensive line just isn't cutting it at this point. But if they can turn it around, this team can, in fact, win a title. Then we get to another must-fix here for the Steelers offensively, which is that the offense needs to protect the football again. So not only does the defense need to take over the ball again and turn that ball over, they need to protect the football, because we've seen that the Steelers, they have their most successful runs here when they don't give up the football. In weeks 7 through 14, so once Russell Wilson took over as this team's starting quarterback, they averaged 1 turnover a game. All right? Over the last several weeks here, last 3 weeks during this skid, you've had 5 giveaways in just 3 games. So that's more than a turnover per game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And by the way, 3 of those 5 giveaways have come at terrible moments in the fourth quarter. You had that botched toss play to Najee Harris against the Eagles. You had that massive pick 6 against the Ravens. And then you had that Pat Freiermuth fumble in the fourth quarter against the Chiefs. You can't give up the ball in the fourth quarter. The Steelers throughout this season have done a really good job protecting the ball, giving themselves a shot to win. If they can get back to that, I think this team can absolutely get back to winning football games against good football teams. But if you're going to be giving up the football, it's not going to be good news. And the good news about this, guys, is that this is more than doable for this team. Like I talked about, this is a team with Russell Wilson that has protected the football quite well over a long stretch of time. So we know that Russell Wilson is one of the best quarterbacks in the league at protecting the football. He's one of the best all time. I think he's top 5 all time in interception percentage. And then this year, he's tied for 5th in turnover-worthy play percentage. Now, obviously, that's gone up the last couple of weeks as this offense has given up the ball more and more. But just 2 weeks ago, guys, it was sitting at 1.1, which was first in the National Football League. So Russell Wilson, I know for a fact, is capable of protecting the football, just needs to do a better job of it here down the stretch. And before I go over my final must-fix for the Pittsburgh Steelers here to win postseason games this year, make sure you guys click that subscribe button right now, because we got extensive Steelers coverage for the rest of this season, heading into and transitioning into next offseason. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button for daily Steelers videos, injury updates, all this different stuff coming up before games, and then also breaking news coverage during the offseason. Whenever the con artist makes a big move, a big trade, a big signing, we're going to be going live covering that news for you guys. It's all 100% free, so join the over 72,000 Yinzers already subscribed to the channel right now by clicking that subscribe button right now. My final must-fix for the Pittsburgh Steelers is Arthur Smith needs to put together better game plans here to get better success in the first half, all right, and specifically first quarters, because slow starts have been a huge hindrance for this Steelers offense all season long, whether it be Justin Fields or whether it be Russell Wilson in there. Arthur Smith has not come in with good enough game plans this year to start fast, and really that's going to be huge for the Pittsburgh Steelers if they want to go on a run in the playoffs. Maybe maybe you can afford one poor start, but you can't afford multiple bad starts offensively and expect to win multiple playoff games if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. So this has been a big problem for the Steelers all season long. And if they want to be crowned Super Bowl champions this year, Arthur Smith and this offense need to find a way to start fast and play better in the first quarter and in the first half. Now, where I'm at with this team overall, I just laid out the 5 things the Steelers need to do in order to win postseason games this year. And where I'm at on this team right now, guys, is that I don't think they're a favorite to win the AFC right now. I'd put both Kansas City and Buffalo ahead of Pittsburgh for sure. But the other teams in the AFC, I still think the Steelers are more than capable of beating. We've seen this team beat the Baltimore Ravens earlier this year when they were fully healthy. All right, I'm not particularly scared of the Chargers or the Broncos, right? The Houston Texans are a team that I think the Steelers can go on the road and beat in a postseason game. So right now, I think that the Steelers are in a position where I think they absolutely can still win a playoff game, but I wouldn't exactly count them as favorites in the AFC right now. And, I think that the way that I view this Steelers team right now, and after this 3-game skid, I think a lot of people in the narrative around the Steelers is that they're a bad team that's getting exposed by these good teams. And that's not exactly how I view this Steelers team. I think that they are a good team that can beat other good football teams, and they need to reset. All right, they've had this long week now to prepare for the Bengals game in Week 18 and get themselves ready for this potential postseason push. And, you look at the record between the Steelers and teams with an above 500 record, so good teams in the National Football League. They're 5-3 against those teams this year. Now, obviously, they've lost 3 straight against the Eagles, against the Ravens, and then, of course, against the Chiefs. But before this 3-game skid, guys, they were 5-0 against teams with winning records, and that's because the defense was playing well. That's because you weren't turning the ball over as much as you are right now. And these things are fixable for the Pittsburgh Steelers, ladies and gentlemen. And if the Steelers can do that, they can absolutely get playoff victories for this team and for this fan base once the playoffs get here. So predict it for me down there in the comments section. Will the Steelers win a playoff game this year? Something this team has not done since 2016 when they went to the AFC Championship. Give me a yes or a no down there in the comments section. For me, I absolutely think the Steelers can. The question is, will they? Make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you so much for making it to the end of today's edition of Steelers Talk. Enjoy Sunday Night Football tonight. I'll be back tomorrow with Coop for Steelers Talk Live. That'll be starting at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Until tomorrow, guys, here we go, Steelers.